Hey, what's up, everybody? It's your girl, Erica, the author, and welcome to my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for tuning in. I am here to do my review of Married to Medicine. Of course, last night was the finale. I can't believe the season's over, guys. They only got 14 regular episodes, and I think we're going to get 2 parts of the reunion. But this particular season to me seemed to have gone by pretty quickly. I did see online and on social media a little bit that a lot of people were actually glad that the season was over, and a lot of them were saying that the season was boring. I particularly didn't feel that way. To me, it felt more like the usual Married to Medicine, or the Married to Medicine of old, so to speak. I did not like season 10 when Phaedra came on there. There were some things even about last season that I did not particularly care for, although we were introduced to Mimi and we still had the storyline with Dr. G and Letitia, but it just did not feel like Married to Medicine. This season to me felt more like the Married to Medicines, like I said, of the previous seasons, like the earlier seasons, minus Mariah. But let me know what you guys think. I know even a lot of YouTubers and a lot of content creators, I watch several people and I love all of their content. Shout out to LTV Productions. He was even saying that he was kind of glad that this season was almost over. So I would like to know, like I said, from you guys, why you felt like this season wasn't great and why you're glad that it's over. But let's get into it. Of course, like I said, this is season 12, episode 14, and it was called Med Gala Mishaps. Now, of course, you guys know me. Here's my notes. I have plenty of them, and so let's get into it. So like I said, we know we have the montages in the beginning. We have a lot of the opening scenes in the beginning. The only question that I had about the montage was that I saw where Dr. Contessa, I was wondering if she had a mobile medical service. She was sitting like in a van or like a mobile unit, and I was wondering if that was something new that she was sort of adding to her medical arsenal, if she was sort of doing door-to-door service, or whatever the case may be. If she is, great service. I'm sure that will probably work for her, but I didn't hear her talk about it during the season, so that's why I had that question. So yeah, guys, let me know if she mentioned that throughout the season, because maybe I just kind of missed that or overlooked it and didn't really pay attention, but I didn't know she had the medical mobile service. And then Simone and Jackie, Dr. Simone and Dr. Jackie had lunch. That was pretty much the first opening scene. I love to see Dr. Jackie and Dr. Simone get along. Their friendship, they've been friends for probably close to maybe 25 plus years. And I kind of miss them hanging out. I know that it's not the same. I know that there is a difference, but sometimes when you're friends that long, it is kind of hard to see them sort of be divided or not be as close as they used to. So when I see them together, I always smile. It always kind of warms my heart, maybe just because of who I am as a person. I love to see that. I thought Simone looked really, really cute with her little ponytail. It makes her look younger. Simone doesn't really look old. I think Simone could, if Simone was a little more fashionable, she would look really, really good. But I thought Simone looked really cute. And again, it was just good to see them sitting down having lunch. So Simone told Dr. Jackie that she feels like Toya did a great job with the Met Gala. I mean, I'm sorry, not the Met Gala, but the Jamaica trip. Although her and Cecil sort of relinquished their control and said that they weren't going to do the couples trip this year, Simone said, hey, Toya did a great job. And she said they all had a great time. Dr. Jackie went on to say that they were discussing what Curtis said to King. Dr. Jackie said she was unaware of it. I think Simone did mention that she was aware of what was said, what Curtis said to King. Dr. Jackie said she really didn't know until they were at the airport, and she said she overheard Curtis asking Steve, did he feel or did he believe that Curtis could have potentially offended King? And so she said she reached out to Quad. She wanted to apologize to Quad. She didn't want that hanging over their heads. And Simone was saying, she said, well, yeah, I wonder how Qua will actually take it. She said because Qua does get upset and she can sort of hold a grudge at times. And a lot of the ladies in this group can. And so Jackie was saying, well, yeah, she did understand that, but she was just hoping, you know, for the best in this situation. Jackie said that she wanted Curtis to actually stay out of it, and he should have. You know, I've been saying this from last week. You know, Curtis stood on business about something that really wasn't his business. It's okay to have an opinion. You know, this is what these shows are about. These women and the men, you know, give their opinions quite a bit, because we know the men have their own personal scenes here on Married to Medicine. But to me, Curtis just came out way too strong with him not really knowing Quad and King. It's not like they sought personal counsel from him. I don't think King has ever asked Curtis a personal question or wanted to speak with Curtis in private. And even if he did, you still sort of, you have to kind of temper how you say things. You have to kind of make sure you're not offending people. I'm not saying you have to walk on eggshells and not be yourself, but there's just certain things. If a person's not soliciting your advice, or you know, you don't have to give unsolicited advice. I know they say Dr. Eugene does it, but obviously Curtis does it as well, because that's exactly what he did in the scene last week with King. So I do think that Curtis needed to pump his brakes. But Curtis to me has always come across a little nasty. I think when Curtis has been in the group, we've seen him sort of act out when he came back around, when after he cheated on Jackie. I think in season 10 he sort of jumped on the group and saying that he wasn't going to be ridiculed because of what he's done. So I've seen some little ugly, nasty things from Curtis over the years. So I guess it's par for the course as far as I'm concerned. But I know that Jackie herself is going to make that situation right with Quad. So Jackie said when she came out of surgery, she saw 100 text messages from Toya, and Dr. Simone, you know, agreed with her and said, yeah, I saw them too. So obviously, you know, they're getting all these text messages from Toya concerning the Met Gala, and they're just sort of concerned about how it's going to go. They're hoping for the best. They don't really know all of what Toya is doing at this point, but they're just hoping for the best. So that was the end of their scene. We see Mimi, and the next scene is when we see Mimi at home with Steve and the kids. Mimi is cooking spaghetti. They started off the little conversation with, do you put sugar in your spaghetti? And the answer is, my personal opinion, yes. You know, I don't know how everyone cooks their food, but you do need a little sugar, not to make it sweet, but just a little bit to cut that acidic taste in the spaghetti sauce. Some people use jar sauce. Some people, you know, use the crushed tomatoes and tomato paste. I do it both ways, but either way, sometimes, like I said, you do need a little sugar in your spaghetti. So they did let us know that they are building an 8,500 square foot home, and it's a brand new home. And they did give us an update on little Stevie. They said that he was put into speech therapy, and that because of that, his behavior has improved. They've seen a huge change in him, and it's been a positive change. So that's good news. Even his relationship with Savannah, his sister, has gotten better, and I know that they're very happy about that. So it seems like a lot of these stories were kind of wrapped up in this season finale, and that's what it's supposed to be. You start off one way and you sort of end up, you know, we want the progress of what has happened or what really hasn't happened. And I think Married to Medicine does a good job of letting us see that. So then we see Toya and Dr. Eugene talking about the Met Gala. Of course, they have all the dual scenes where everybody's sort of talking about it at the same time. Heavenly was talking to Mimi on the phone while Toya was talking to Dr. Eugene. We saw Heavenly say that Toya changed the venue at the last minute. She said without their knowledge, and I wrote next to it, ooh, that wasn't good, because they should at least know where the venue is, but I'll get to why Toya probably did that. Qua said that, you know, Toya, well, Dr. Contessa was also saying that Toya was, you know, asking for the money, sending them all these text messages, but not giving them any, you know, information. Qua said that she doesn't know where the money went to, and she felt some type of way about that. Toya said that Mimi has experience with fundraisers, and I think she does something where she has been like she's done like scholarship fundraising for certain universities and colleges, I guess, in the Atlanta area. And Toya said that Mimi did not even offer to help. And I wrote in my notes, newsflash, Toya, Mimi wasn't going to do that. Mimi clearly doesn't like you. You're not that fond of Mimi. You guys don't even have clearly a working relationship where you can even be civilized for even a charity event. So I didn't see where Mimi should have or would have done it. I think sometimes when you're a charitable person, yes, you do have to put your personal feelings to the side and just think about the charity. But I just feel like Mimi just doesn't even feel like she has to do that in this group. I think she feels like her position is solidified with some of the ladies. So she's going to continue just to not like Toya in that sense. But I didn't really understand why Toya thought that Mimi would just help. Now, it would have been different if Toya had asked Mimi, could she help? And Mimi refused and said no. But Toya never asked her. So Toya cannot assume that Mimi would come to her and offer her services with them not being cool like that. So I was like, okay, Toya, that doesn't make sense. But that's just how Toya thinks. So Simone and her family actually sat down and had a dinner. We saw at the last family dinner, Simone really blew up. We know that Michael had put $60,000 on a credit card by himself. You know, Simone was saying she was very, very tired, and she sort of kind of had like a meltdown on camera. This particular time, Michael and Miles were there. Michael apologized to his mom. He said that he was very sorry for sort of blowing up and cursing at her. Cecil also said that he apologized to Simone because he never wanted her to feel like he doesn't back her up or doesn't support her. And, you know, Simone said she felt really, really good about that. Michael said, believe it or not, he doesn't want his parents to support him forever. He said, you know, in fact, he wants to have his own money. You know, he wants to even have more money than them. And he also said that, yeah, you know, he wants to be able to take care of his parents and do some things for them. And I think that that was good. I think most kids feel that way. When you've had good parents, or you've had a good parent that has looked out for you in any way, as you get older, you feel obligated to do something nice for them or to try to help them as much as you can. So I really genuinely felt that from Michael and Miles. I know Miles is a lot more quiet, but I felt like Miles kind of, you know, can follow in his brother's footsteps, and he really felt, although Miles is older, but I felt like Miles had the same sentiment as Michael. And I really kind of feel like they really feel like they want to do some things for their parents. So of course Michael hugged Simone and he told her that he loved her, and Miles hugged Simone as well. And, you know, and she felt good about that. You can tell that Simone, like they said, has that hard exterior, but Simone is super duper duper sensitive. We've seen it over the years, and sometimes Simone just probably needs some words of affirmation herself to let her know that she's doing a great job. We saw them talking about these love languages. Simone said hers is acts of service, but she probably also needs words of affirmation. And like I said, we can see that Miles is a little more quiet and reserved like Cecil, but Michael is Simone's buddy, and she needs that. She kind of feeds off of his energy. So they just have a really, really great relationship. And they also spoke well of their children. They said that Michael's going to get it together. Simone and Cecil said they have no doubt that Michael, you know, works hard. He has that go-get-it mentality. So Michael's going to do great things, and I'm sure we will hear about some progression in his life probably when the next season comes along. And that was pretty much it with that. Toya arrives at this venue called the Sinclair. Seems really, really nice. It looks like it's an art gallery. Really, really nice. We later found out Toya was on Watch What Happens Live with Andy. Her and Simone were on there last night, and she said really and truly she only had a week to pull everything together. So Toya did an excellent, phenomenal, amazing job, knowing that this was pulled together basically within one week's time. yeah, it was a nice art gallery. It really, really was. When Jackie she said the theme was living art. Dr. Jackie arrived first. Dr. Jackie was really, really impressed. You could tell that she thought Toya, she could just, you could tell that Jackie liked the ambiance. She liked the setup. She felt like Toya had really put her money where her mouth was, and also she sort of put her action into it, and Jackie was really impressed. Simone also arrived. She thought that it was really, really nice. And before I get there to talk about them, Dr. Contessa was showing what she might wear to the Met Gala. She was talking to Scott about it. It was a very sexy, revealing dress. Scott said he approved of the dress, but he didn't want her to have like a nip slip or whatever. Toya said that she pulled off the $10,000 in ticket sales. She was kind of stressed out. And like I said, again, this was more like the duel scene. So you could see where Toya arrived at the venue. Contessa was talking. Jackie was on her way there. Like, so they were showing like all the scenes of them arriving there. Toya said she almost called Phaedra to kind of help out with this. She said Brandy and Angel actually bought tickets. But of course, Mimi and Steve didn't buy a ticket at all. Contessa said that she was telling Scott she's stressed about it. She told Scott how Toya was acting, and she said Toya wanted some shine. She said that when you're doing philanthropy, you have to get out of the way. She said Toya wanted it to be her show while the rest of them were served as her minions. I can see where Contessa's coming from, but then I think it's a little different. I don't think that Toya just wanted it to be all about her. When it came to you guys, yes. I don't think that Toya wanted to take away from the charity and from the actual meaning of what they were trying to do, which is to help young medical students continue their education in medical school. I don't think Toya wanted to mess that up at all. I think that Toya felt like I have to prove myself because these women don't believe in me. They question everything I do. They think I'm just this spoiled housewife who does absolutely nothing but play tennis and drink wine, and I have something to prove to them, to say, yeah, you guys may have more education than your doctors, but I can pull this together. So I think that's what it was. I really don't think that it was super duper selfish on Toya's part, where there's some aspects of it that, yeah, Toya could have done better in including everybody, yes. But I also know that Toya, this was more personal for her, dealing with the ladies, not with the charity. So apparently during the conversation, Contessa did have a nip slip or something sort of slipped out. So Scott told her, hey, that's not the dress. But anyway, like I said, the third annual Met Gala begins. And just as I said, Jackie lit up as soon as she walked in the place. She was ready to get going. And, you know, let's get the party started. Like I said, Simone was second to arrive. Simone looked really nice. We've seen Simone wear some crazy outfits, but she looked really nice at this event. Simone said that Toya had done a great job and she really loved the artwork. Mimi and Steve arrived. You know, there was a young lady sort of checking everyone in as they came in. She told them something about using the QR code on your phone. Well, Mimi and Steve had not bought a ticket. And so they were kind of stopped at the door, but they did say that they were at Jackie's table. I think Jackie bought a table, and they said that they were at Jackie's table. Steve keeps harping on the fact that he bought this $5,000 bowl last season at the last Met Gala. Steve, let me say this. That was last year. But this is a new season and a new day. I think you keep harping on that. Number one, you did that to show off, to show them that, yeah, you could sort of roll with the doctors and you had a little money. And you also did that to sort of buy into the group. You were on the show, but it was a way of buying into the group. But you keep harping on that like this is a different charity. They're actually, last year they gave it to a man. I think he had lost his daughter or his wife. He lost his wife when she was giving childbirth. So it was something to a charity dealing with people who sort of lose babies or whatever. I can't remember the charity, and I don't want to mix it up or mess it up, but it was a totally different charity last year. This is about medical students trying to stay in medical school. You have no right to talk about the $5,000 that you gave last year to that charity that Phaedra actually sort of ran last year. Toya's running it. And I know that you can't stand Toya. I know that you don't like her. And you should have just bought a ticket just because, just for the sake of supporting. I do know that Toya did things wrong, you know, but the thing about it is, like I said, if you're a charitable person, sometimes you have to kind of put that to the side. I didn't disagree with him in saying, hey, I don't want to participate. But then if you weren't coming at all, that would be one thing. But then for you to show up and then expect to be, or for it not to be said, I thought that was kind of wrong. So Dr. Eugene doesn't have a problem with Steve. Steve has a problem with Dr. Eugene. Steve said, you know, Dr. Eugene is cool with all the guys, whether they like him or not. He tries to make them feel comfortable. You know, Dr. Eugene cooks for the guys and invites them over to smoke cigars, and he'll cook food for them, and they have drinks and all that. Steve is just committed to not liking Dr. Eugene. Dr. Eugene was joking around with Steve. We know what Fat Joe, made it popular a couple of years ago, even during, like, the pandemic. Yesterday's price is not today's price. And so Dr. Eugene was sort of quoting that back to Steve, as he mentioned about the $5,000 bowl that he purchased last year. And Eugene was like, yesterday's price is not today's price, you know what I mean? And Steve, just being an a-hole, said, no, I actually don't know what you mean. And to me, it's just like I said it last year, Steve and Mimi are a good fit for the show. I even said last year, if you've been watching my reviews for a while, Steve has more personality than his wife. And now we're seeing more of that personality. I don't like the Steve that I'm seeing, but he does have his own personality. But to me, I just said that Steve and me, they're committed to hating Eugene and Toya. And even though Toya and Mimi have been going at it, Eugene never really even said anything about how Mimi was acting toward Toya. It was more or less about Heavenly. It wasn't even about Mimi. So like I said, Steve is just committed. They're doing the dirty work for other people, and they feel like this is solidifying their role on the show. And that's okay if you want to do it, but it may come back to bite them in the end. So like I said, all the ladies arrived. Now, one thing I didn't like, they had the chicken wings on a stick. I did not like that. I feel like if it was a crab cake, a little mini crab cake, cool. If it was even like a little meatball, cool, because it's something you can pop in your mouth. When there's like a little wingette or a little chicken wing, you're going to have to really like nibble that whole. That is not something that you can pull off the stick and you're done. This is supposed to be like a classy event, or more of a dressier or more elegant event. So I just didn't like the chicken on a stick. Quad was the last one to arrive. She came with a friend. She said that King was at a wedding reception, or at his friend's wedding or the reception, and that he would be coming late. Like I said, Steve and Dr. Eugene got it slightly into it again. It was about, just them not buying a ticket. They're making this bigger than what it is. Yes, Toya is angry about them not contributing, but Steve, again, like you said, we see you with all these expensive clothes on. We see you talking about how you love fashion and how you love, this, that, and the other. And I'm sure you could afford to spend $300. You probably pay $300 for a pair of shoes or a pair of tennis shoes. So why couldn't you just pay for 2 tickets, And so they just got into it. And then I think Toya walked over and she was like, she was angry. Toya said, hey, you didn't support the cause. And that's what I think I'm getting at. I understand, like, Toya is not everybody's favorite person, and she can be harsh and brash, and she gets on everyone's nerves, and she sort of she doesn't have a filter. She's just she's a brutally honest person at times, and it leaves a bad taste in most people's mouths. But again, it was about the cause. So I agree with Toya with that. And then Mimi had a nerve to say in her confessional that Toya has something against her. What? Mimi, what are you talking about? Like, I'm trying to figure out what happened between last season and this season that now you feel like Toya has something against you. When Mimi first came onto the show, Mimi even filmed with Toya quite a bit. When they were talking to Letitia and trying to get Letitia back on board with the group, it was Toya and Mimi who were doing that. So I'm trying to figure out what happened from that point until now that now Mimi just does not like Toya. Yes, you may not like her communication style, but what has Toya really done to you that would push you over the edge to make you feel like I just can't stand this girl, or that Toya has something against her? To me, Toya really only goes after like Heavenly, and that's because her and Heavenly just had that kind of exchange and that kind of relationship. But I don't really see Toya attacking the new girls or hazing them in any kind of way. Heavenly to me does that, but Heavenly didn't do that to the new girls this season. But I don't really see Toya just attacking, or never seen Toya sort of attack Mimi. If she has, guys, please remind me, because I don't really remember that she has done it. I know they've had their exchange of words, but I don't remember Toya fully attacking Mimi. So let me know, guys, if you saw something that I missed. So we go on. Curtis apologized to King and Quad. He said, if I offended you, I truly apologize. I love you guys. We've had great times. He told Quad we've had great times over the season. King said that, yeah, he said he was wondering why Curtis attacked him. So which means, yes, he was offended. Jackie said she doesn't want to say if you were offended. She just wanted to apologize, because she said the intent, even though the intent may not have been to, offend, they were offended. And I think Quad accepted that with open arms. King also accepted that. I don't think he was holding that against them. And I think that, like I said, going forward, Curtis, just keep your mouth closed. You know, with your history and things that have gone on, I just think that you just need to be quiet about, you know, the moral compass and what's right and what's wrong. We all know what's right and what's wrong, but, you know, you have to realize too, Curtis, everybody doesn't even live their lives based on the Bible. And even if you do, or you feel like they're doing something wrong, then do what they tell you to always do. Just pray for them in secret and leave it alone. But be friends to them and be cool with them and be kind to them, but don't judge them. So we see the ladies. Simone said she congratulated Toya, and you can tell that Simone and Dr. Simone and Toya are really good friends. She said Toya did a great job. She said that don't worry about who bought a ticket and who didn't anymore. She said focus on the charity and just bring the ladies together. And that's what true friendship is. Toya took Simone's words to heart, and that's exactly what she did. She brought the ladies up on stage. They did what they needed to do. Even when Heavenly asked for the microphone, Toya didn't even hesitate to give it to her. So there were two young ladies who received scholarships for $5,000 toward their medical school education. Kudos to them. It is very, very difficult. My cousin, shout out to my cousin Brandon, both he and his wife graduated from medical school a couple of years ago. And when I went to his medical school graduation, they were saying how there's a very even small percentage of, you know, minority doctors, let alone doctors alone. They were just saying that if you look going to like 2032, that the numbers of doctors would have really decreased by like an insurmountable amount. And so we know that we need doctors. We need their medical expertise. So shout out to all the doctors. So I was glad to see these two Black girls receiving the money so that they can further their education. And I hope they continue that. Even Andy Cohen on Watch What Happens Live said that next year, so he wants to contribute to that charity. He told them that last night. So which means that 9 times out of 10 Married to Medicine is coming back next season, and also they will continue that charity where they donate to the students. And I absolutely, positively, 100% love that. So Heavenly said that Toya did an amazing job. Heavenly didn't say anything negative. She said Toya gets an F for conduct, which I can agree with. And then she said, but Toya gets an A+ for the event. Toya did a really good job. And I think what Toya did, I'm not even really taking up for Toya, but sometimes you have to shut your mouth and work. And I think that's what Toya did. Toya knew that her reputation was on the line with this, and I think that's what Toya did. Toya put her head down, she shut her mouth, and she went to work, and it all worked out. And so that's why I say Toya not telling them, it did seem like something messed up to do, seemed like something that was just really crappy to do, but I do get it. Excuse me, I really do get it. I think that sometimes in life you just have to be quiet. You can't talk so much about what you're doing. I'm not saying leave people out. I'm not saying that, you know, you treat people any kind of way, but I just think that Toya did it the best way she knew how, and I think that it worked out in her favor. So anywho, you know, the event turned out very well. Contessa and Mimi also gave Toya her props. Michael, we saw his girlfriend. I kind of joked to myself like, okay, Michael got a little vanilla girlfriend. He said he likes his girls vanilla. She is a black girl for sure, but she's just, you know, she's light-skinned, like Mimi or whatever. But I just kind of joked, said, well, Michael did get his vanilla girlfriend. But Michael was telling Simone that he didn't plan, maybe he saw Heavenly, but he just maybe felt like he said, if I see her, I really don't plan to speak to her. And you know, Simone was saying she's going to be cordial, but she's not going to really have any conversation with Heavenly. And a lot of people are going to probably come against Michael. Michael is an adult now, he's not a child. He is 22 years old, or 23 at this point. Oftentimes when things happen with your parents, you should stay out of it, but it doesn't mean that you don't have feelings about it. The only reason why I said I could see why I agree with Michael in that sense, I'm taking it from me personally. If that was my mom, I would feel the same way. I wouldn't want to speak to Heavenly either, especially after what I heard. Now, I think I told you guys in maybe a video or two back, I heard, I was watching a YouTuber by the name of Queen Sheba Darling. She said that, you know, her sources told her that Heavenly went to production on Simone and told them that Simone was unhinged, that Simone tried to attack her and she didn't want to film with her because she did not feel safe. Production actually sat Simone out. There was a chance that maybe Simone wouldn't even be able to film with them had it shown anything else. And I think that's what Simone is actually mad about. I don't blame Simone if she's mad about that, if that's what really happened. I would love for that to be brought to the light if that is what really happened with Heavenly, and Heavenly did it. I think that is a disgrace for Heavenly to do that, because we all saw that it wasn't that serious with Simone. Simone has never tried to fight anybody on this show. As much as she yells and they go back and forth, Simone is not going to fight anybody. So for Heavenly to do that, I thought that was horrible, and I hope that it comes out on the reunion that maybe that's what happened. So if Michael was taken up for his mom and that's what really happened, then I support Michael in saying I probably wouldn't speak to Heavenly or have conversation with her. I can be cordial with anyone, but I'm not going to be as friendly as I normally would with someone who tried to really hurt my mom. Heavenly said that Simone, you know, they saw where Heavenly asked could she dance with Cecil, and Simone went to dance with Damon. You can tell there's a lot of tension between them. Heavenly said that Simone drags everything out. She says she doesn't hold on to anything. And I wrote clearly, Heavenly, you don't have a reason to be angry or to drag something out, because you're the one inflicting the pain and stirring the pot and creating the drama with everyone else. So certainly you have nothing to hold on to, because no one's doing anything to you. You are the one doing everything to everyone else. And so that was the end of the season, guys. Like I said, it was a great season finale. Kudos to Toya. She did a great job. I thought that the last episode was great. I thought that yeah, they had a pretty good season. So let me know what you guys think. Please like this video and subscribe to my channel. Let me know, you know, what you think in the comments about how you felt season 12 was or wasn't. What would you like to see for next season? I would love to just hear, you know, your guys. I mean, I would love to hear you guys' thoughts on what you really think about Married to Medicine. I see a lot of people saying they want Mariah back. I don't know if Mariah would come back or if they would even allow Mariah to come back. Is Heavenly going to return? She is serious about running as Congresswoman. So, I mean, you know, for her position, I'm sorry, in Georgia. So, as a Georgia state representative. So, let me know what you guys think. And also share the video. I know there are a lot of people who are working. You know, you have kids, you have so many things. You know, there are a lot of adult learners who are in school and they don't have time to watch all these shows, you know. So sometimes they do listen to the YouTubers, you know, give their review. So if you feel like it, you know, share my video with someone. I try to be, you know, I try to be as detailed as I possibly can and give you everything that happened play by play. And so I would really appreciate that. So I will be doing some other reviews. I find myself now, I have a little more time and I would like to discuss other things. I do also want to just kind of develop my channel. It is new. I would love to do some other things. So just hang in there with me, guys, like I said, and tell other people that, you know, Erica the author is, you know, here. And like I said, if you enjoy my reviews, please spread the word and share the love. Enjoy your day, enjoy your week, and I will see you on the next video. Bye.